All right, namaste everyone. Thank you for joining in this short tutorial on Yogi Point and wealth. You know, a lot has been said about the Yogi Point, okay, and the Yogi planet, which of course comes from the Yogi Point. And then there is also a planet which is the other Yogi. Okay, there is also a planet which is the duplicate Yogi. The Yogi planet is regarded as the most auspicious planet in the chart after the Yoga Karaka. And some charts will not have a Yoga Karaka. Some rising signs will not have a Yoga Karaka. So Yoga Karaka, of course, is a planet that rules a trine house and a Kendra house simultaneously in a chart. Okay, so all ascendants will not have a Yoga Karaka as such. So for those ascendants which do not have a Yoga Karaka, the Yogi planet becomes the most auspicious planet. Even if it is a, even if it is a Maragraha, say if the Yogi planet rules the second house or the seventh house, then also it is very, very auspicious. And for those charts which have a Yoga Karaka, the Yogi planet becomes the second most auspicious planet. Okay. Of course, the concept of the Yogi planet comes from the Panchanga. Okay, I've done this in a lot of details in the Panchanga class, Panchanga master class that was conducted some time ago last year. Okay, it concluded this year, of course. Rajesh is here, so he was one of the attendants of that class. So I've discussed how to find out the Yogi planet and the other Yogi planet. I'll not go into details of finding out those planets because nowadays softwares they come fine-tuned with the calculation to find those planets. And those planets, you don't have to do a manual calculation as well. Of course, the manual calculation, the way to calculate it manually is available, but I'll not dwell on that due to timing issues as such. But then all the softwares, whether you are using a paid software or you are using a free software, will give you some kind of an idea about the Yogi planet as well as the other Yogi planet. Okay. So in the Panchanga class, master class, I have discussed on how the Yogi planet impacts your entire chart. But now I'll be discussing the wealth of the horoscope from the perspective of the Yogi planet. Okay, just to give you a brief idea on the Panchanga. Okay, the Yogi planet comes from the Yogi part of the Panchanga. Okay, the Pancha Anga, it actually refers to the 5 elements of time. Okay, and it is the quality of a Panchanga. The quality of the Panchanga actually refers to the quality of time in the in the horoscope of a native. Okay, it tells you how or what is the quality of time in the horoscope, right? There is a famous phrase in Hindi that we use, samay theek nahi chal raha hai. So it actually refers to time. It does not refer to clock time. It refers to kala. When we speak about samay, it refers to kala, which is the personification of time. And the personification of that kala, of course, is the Kal Purush. We have the Kal Purush chart with us, which starts from Aries. The first house starts with Aries. The 12th house is, of course, that of Pisces. Anyways, we'll not dwell on the theoretical aspect of it. I'll be covering in today's brief session. I'll be covering 4 predictive principles that you can use to determine wealth of the native by using the Yogi point, not the Yogi planet, but the Yogi point. Okay. So we know that there are 5 parts of the Panchanga, as I had mentioned. The first is the Dina, okay, which is ruled by fire. Okay, and it has the rulership of Mars. Then comes the Tithi part of Panchanga. It is the water element. It has the rulership of Venus. Then there is the Karana part of the Panchanga, which of course represents the earth element. It has the rulership of Mercury. Karana is the determining factor of your profession. Many people would look at profession from the 10th house, but it is not that. You have to look at the Karana Lord. You have to look at where and how the Karana Lord is placed to actually give a accurate analysis of the profession. Okay. Then comes the Nakshatra part, which of course reflects the air element. Nakshatra also reflects the quality of the mind, because whether you follow the 27 system of nakshatras or the 28 system of nakshatras, the nakshatras are referred to as the wives of the moon. Okay, so nakshatra refers to the air element. It has the rulership of Saturn. Vayu Tattva. And finally, we have the yoga element, which is representative of the Akash element or the space element, and having the rulership of Jupiter. So what we can see is that the sun and the moon, they don't have a bigger role to play in the Panchanga. But in any chart, if three planets, the sun, the moon, and the Jupiter are strong, then you can say that the person can live life without much obstacles. Okay, we are all suffering our karmas. Yeah, even the richest man on the planet is suffering his karma, and even the poorest penniless soul on this planet is suffering his or her karma. But then, as they say, it's much better to cry in a Mercedes than to cry in a under the sky. Now, coming to this yoga part, so we'll be dealing exclusively with the yoga part of Panchanga, because from there the concept of yogi and the avayogi comes. Okay, so just like the nakshatras, the yogas are 27 in number. Okay, so if you follow the 27 nakshatra scheme, it means you are judging the chart for the for the materialistic resources. And if you're following the 28th nakshatra scheme, that means you are judging the chart from the point of spirituality, from the spiritual perspective. Okay, so we'll be because wealth is materialistic. Okay, so we'll be considering the 27 nakshatra scheme. Okay, whenever we look at the example charts, be very clear that we are considering the 27 nakshatra scheme. Okay, so just like the nakshatras, the yogas are 27 in number, each equal to 13 degrees and 20 minutes. And they are calculated by adding together the degree positions of the sun and the moon. Okay, so as I said in the beginning, I'll not be dwelling on the calculative part. Any software can do the calculation, whether it's a free software or a paid software. The calculation is pretty much accurate. Okay, so the yoga and the tithi, they have a very peculiar relationship. Okay, and the relationship is that of the sun, and the relationship between the tithi and yoga is actually reflective of the relationship between the sun and the moon. Okay, the tithi is actually derived by subtracting the degree positions of the sun and the moon, and as I mentioned, the yogas are derived by adding together the degree positions of the sun and the moon. Okay, so there's a certain process to it, as I mentioned, and once you find out the exact degree position by adding the exact degree positions of the sun and the moon, you arrive at a certain mathematical point, which is known as the yogi point. Okay, and the ruler of the yogi point is the ruler of the nakshatra where the yogi point falls. That planet is the yogi planet. Okay, that planet is the yogi planet. Just give me a sec. Okay, so the ruler of the nakshatra.
Devishaji, can you repeat what you just said?
Yeah, the ruler of the nakshatra.
No, before that, when you said the determination of the yogi planet, what's that calculation?
Yeah, it is actually calculated by adding the degree positions of the sun and the moon. Okay, I'm not going into the detailed part of it. Okay, because mathematics for many people is difficult. So any software will give you the exact calculation, and it will not matter even if you are using a paid software or a free software. Yeah. So the ruler of the nakshatra where the yogi point is falling, that ruler or that planetary ruler of the nakshatra becomes the yogi planet. Okay, and the lord of the sign where the yogi point falls, that is the duplicate yogi. Okay, be very clear with this. The nakshatra ruler, the planetary ruler of the nakshatra where the yogi planet where the yogi point falls becomes the yogi planet, and the lord of the sign where the yogi point falls, that is the duplicate yogi. Okay, I'll just share a slide.
What's
here.
The word you're saying? The Lord is the what?
Duplicate yogi. Duplicate.
Duplicate?
Yeah, it's duplicate. Just let me share my screen. Yeah. Okay, so this is the list of the yogas that you have from the Panchanga, and this is the nakshatra where the yogi point falls, and this is the yogi and the avayogi. I'm not included a duplicate yogi. I'll give you an example. So for example, suppose we are considering this Vajra yoga. Okay, this Vajra yoga. So Vajra yoga, for Vajra yoga, the yogi point is in Shravana nakshatra. Okay, the yogi point is in Shravana nakshatra. And because moon rules the Shravana nakshatra, so moon becomes the yogi. But because this Shravana nakshatra is in the sign of Capricorn, okay, Shravana nakshatra is in the sign of, it's in the Rashi of Makara or Capricorn. So Saturn becomes the duplicate yogi. Okay, Saturn becomes the duplicate yogi. And the mathematical point, which is exactly opposite to Shravana, okay, the mathematical point which is exactly opposite to Shravana, that is the avayogi nakshatra. So if you look at the opposite nakshatra of Shravana, it will come to Cancer, because the sign opposite to Capricorn is Cancer. So the nakshatra opposite to Shravana is Aslesha, and because Aslesha is ruled by Mercury, so Mercury becomes the avayogi graha. Okay, I hope I've explained this clearly. If the yoga is Vajra, the yogi point will fall in Shravana nakshatra, and because Shravana nakshatra is ruled by the moon, so moon becomes the yogi planet. And because Shravana is falling in the sign of Capricorn, in the Rashi of Capricorn, it means Saturn becomes the, it means Saturn becomes the duplicate yogi. And the point, the nakshatra that is exactly opposite, for, in Jyotish, the word for opposite is Paksha. Okay, it is Paksha. When we say it is Chitra Paksha, that means it is the nakshatra opposite to Chitra nakshatra. Okay, so the nakshatra that is opposite to Shravana, that is Cancer. Okay, that is Aslesha, which falls in the sign of Cancer. So because Aslesha is the nakshatra which is opposite to Shravana, and Aslesha is ruled by Mercury, so Mercury becomes the avayogi graha for Vajra. Okay, for those people who are having Vajra yoga in their charts. So this is the list, the comprehensive list for all the 27 yogas. So you can identify which is your yogi planet, which is your duplicate yogi, and which is your avayogi. So the general rule is that the yogi planet is the auspicious one. Okay, it will make you prosper. You will prosper during its dasha. The avayogi planet is actually meant to, it's meant to create obstacles. The duplicate yogi is also meant to bring in prosperity. And fortunately for all of us, there is no duplicate avayogi. Okay, so that is something good coming out of it. Yes, Mukunda ji, you can ask your question. You've raised your hand.
Yeah, hi. So what about the Sahayogi? I also seen in some charts.
Sahayogi is the duplicate yogi.
Sahayogi is the duplicate.
Yeah, Sahayogi is the duplicate yogi.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Now coming to the, so coming to the yogi and the yogi point and avayogi point. So every time the moon, we will consider the moon. Okay, every time the moon passes through the yogi point, okay, the moon will pass through the yogi point. That day in the month will be very, very lucky for you. Okay, so suppose if the moon is, if the moon is passing through, say, Jyeshtha nakshatra. Okay, Jyeshtha nakshatra is the yogi point for those having Vriddhi yoga. So that day will be, the moon will stay in a nakshatra for a certain amount of time. So that amount of that time will be very, very lucky for those having, having Vriddhi yoga. Okay, and every time the moon passes through the avayogi point in the chart, in that case you have to be really, really careful, because then your, the mental turbulence will be at its maximum. Okay, and this passing of the moon will happen, will be auspicious every time the moon passes through the yogi point, as well as through the, through the sign where the duplicate yogi planet is located. Okay, for example, suppose you have Vajra yoga. So it is very auspicious whenever the moon is passing through Shravana Nakshatra, as well as through Capricorn and Aquarius, because for Vajra Yoga natives, Saturn becomes the duplicate yogi. And in that case, it is very auspicious whenever the moon passes through Capricorn Rashi as well as Aquarius Rashi. Okay, so this is a question which was answered by someone on my Facebook page. So I'm replying to that question. Okay.
Divishaji, can you give one example of determining this yoga? One itself, how to figure out?
You
how
want
to
the
do it?
calculation part?
Yeah, just, yeah, one. Yeah, surely.
The calculation part you are saying?
Yes.
Okay, I'll just wait for the end of the seminar. Okay, I'll just explain the calculations then, because it's a very long thing to do.
Okay.
Anyways, okay, now coming to the predictive principles. As I said, I'll be sharing 4 predictive principles, and these are not my principles. They were listed by Sri Sheshadri Ayarji, who has done tremendous work in the field of Panchanga. Okay, so he has 2 very good books on Jyotish, which are titled as Predictive Principles in Vedic Astrology by Sheshadri Ayar. I don't think the physical copies are available as of for now, but if someone has access to the digital copies, then maybe they can share it in the group. Okay, I don't have any access to the digital copies, but maybe for the physical copies, we can expect some kind of sharing in the group. Okay. All right. So coming to the principles that were laid out by Sheshadri Ayarji, I have slightly modified the principles so that they can be used for predicting wealth for the native. Okay, Sheshadri Ayar's principles were more from a generalized perspective. My modifications are somewhat from the perspective of wealth. Okay, all right. So the first principle: if the degree of the lagna is in the yogi's nakshatra, the person will have a predisposition towards material prosperity. This means the discretion or the discernment. Lagna represents our discretion power. Okay, lagna represents the power of discretion. So the person will always be fine-tuned in finding wealth. Okay, this is more prominent if the yogi graha is strong and favorably placed. Okay, coming back to the to the list. Suppose someone has Lagna Nakshatra in Mula. Okay, suppose someone has Lagna Nakshatra in Mula and Ketu is the yogi planet. So if Ketu is well placed, okay, Ketu is, how do you determine the good placement of Ketu? For Ketu to be well placed, it has to be placed in a fire sign, irrespective of anything else. Okay, Ketu may be placed anywhere. Even if it is placed in a Lagna, it must be placed in a fire sign to give good results. Okay, so suppose someone has Lagna Nakshatra as Mula. So that person will be predisposed towards wealth if Ketu is strong and well placed in the chart. Okay, just to take a few examples. So this is the chart of King George VI, who is, of course, the father of Queen Elizabeth II. Okay, just look at this chart. Venus, Libra rising, Venus and Saturn in the ascendant, Jupiter in the exalted in the 10th house. Ketu, see, Ketu in the fire sign of Leo. So this is a very, very strong chart. Okay, so I've just included the yes, someone has shared the file. Thank you so much, Surenji. Just given the file for downloading. Okay, so just included the Panchanga. So he was born on Venus. That means he was born on a Friday with the nakshatra being Mrigashira nakshatra. Okay, the yoga is Sukarma yoga. Okay, the yogi point is 5 degrees 16 minutes Libra. The yogi is Mars, the avayogi is Ketu, and the duplicate yogi is Venus. Okay, So look at the Lagna degree. It is the Lagna is 4 degrees 34 minutes. Okay, and the Yogi point is 5 degree 16 minutes of Libra. Okay, so they are in the Mars nakshatra of Chitra. Okay, and look at Mars. Mars is the second lord. As I said, even if the Yogi Graha is a Mara Graha, it is, it will still be auspicious. Okay, so Mars is the second lord. It is placed in its own house in the sign of Scorpio with the 9th lord Mercury and the 11th lord Sun. So as I discussed in the previous webinar, every time the 9th lord is placed in the second house or the second lord associates with the 9th lord, it is a tremendous Dhana Yoga. Okay, so this 9th lord and the 11th lord are together placed in the second house, giving him an exceptional Dhana Yoga. Okay, now look at the duplicate yogi. It is Venus. Okay, duplicate yogi is Venus. It is very strong, and look at where it is placed. It is placed in its own house in the ascendant and forming a Dhana Yoga with Saturn, because Saturn is exalted in the Lagna. Okay, so of course it might have given him some difficulties in relationships, but as long as you are earning money, other difficulties can be, can be handled. Okay. Okay, this chart, again, very famous chart of Robert Downey, the Jr. Okay, so he has an estimated net worth of around 350 million, right? And look at the degree of the Lagna. It is 20 degrees 29 minutes. And look at the Yogi point. It is 20 degrees 33 minutes. Okay, so his degree of Lagna is very close. That means to the Yogi point, they are separated by only 3 minutes, right? And because it falls in Aslesha Nakshatra, so the Mercury is his Yogi planet. Now this Yogi planet also rules the 9th house, right? This, Mercury rules the 9th house. And look at Mercury in the Navamsha. Look at Mercury in the Navamsha. It is Vargottama. Okay, it is Vargottama. And despite Mercury being placed in the sign of Pisces and getting debilitated, it is obtaining a very beautiful Nicha Bhanga Raj Yoga because Venus is exalted there. Okay, Venus is exalted there. So what is happening is you can also see a exchange between the 9th lord Jupiter and the 11th lord Venus. So I had mentioned how Lakshmi Yoga is formed. So this condition is satisfied in his chart. Okay, and much of his wealth has actually come in his Jupiter period when his Nich Bhanga Raj Yoga actually happened. Okay, the Nich Bhanga Raj Yoga happened in the Jupiter period because the 9th lord is placed in the sign of Pisces and Venus being exalted. So Jupiter gave him that Nich Bhanga Raj Yoga, and he has been running this Mahadasha since 2007, and most of his wealth has come after that. Okay, look at the duplicate yogi. It is the Lagna Lord Moon, and it is placed in the 10th house of Aries. Okay, so it really helps if your 10th house has a fire sign. Okay, because then you are extremely focused in your work, right? Moon again placed in in a friend's house. Okay, and because you look at this moon, it has a Shubh Durdhara Yoga. You see, Moon is having Jupiter on the, Jupiter in the 11th house, and Moon is surrounded by Mercury and Venus in the 9th house. So it's a Shubh Durdhara Yoga. Okay, this is the benefic hemming of the Moon. All right. Okay, next, coming to the second predictive principle. Okay. If the yoga planet comes to the Lagna, it contributes immensely towards the prosperity of the individual. Okay, and if this yogi planet is participating in other Dhana yogas, then the money making ability is compounded many times. Okay, if the yogi planet is situated in the Lagna, it brings a lot of prosperity to the native, and if this yogi planet, which is situated in the Lagna, combines with the other Dhana yogas, then it actually gives a lot of strength to the chart. Okay, so let's look at it. Yeah, so I had shared this chart in the previous webinar as well, because it has so many Dhana yogas. This is of course the chart of Paul Newman, if people remember. So look at the Lagna degree. It is 20 degrees 16 minutes, and the yogi point is 25 degree 23 minutes of Aquarius in Purva Bhadrapada. Okay, it is ruled by Jupiter, right? So Jupiter becomes the yogi planet, and it is also the Lagna Lord in the Lagna. So we know that, Jupiter in the Lagna is very, very auspicious. Okay, in the Lagna, it's very, very auspicious. So additionally, it is becoming more auspicious by being the Yogi planet. Okay. So this Lagna Lord is involved in a Dhana Yoga with the 11th Lord Venus. Okay, 11th Lord Venus forms a beautiful Dhana Yoga with Jupiter, and look at the 11th house. It has an exalted planet that is all, that is so very wanting to give him more wealth, right? And look at the position of Venus in D9. It is actually placed in its own house. Okay, it is placed in its own house. So Venus is getting more additional strength in the, in the Navamsha. Okay, look at the duplicate yogi. Again, this is exalted, and it is the exaltation of the second lord, which is placed in the 11th house. So this is a great combination. Again, there is a link between the second house and the 11th house, right? So all his wealth, it actually came in his Saturn Mahadasha, right? And by the time he passed away, the estimated net worth of his, of his mansion, of the place, of his property was around $800 million. Okay. So this is how, this is how the Yogi planet can create wonders for you. All right, coming to the next predictive principle. Right. So if the Yogi planet is the lord of the Lagna, it actually contributes to good prosperity. Okay. It is, the prosperity will be less as compared to having the Yogi planet in the Lagna. But if the Yogi planet is the lord of the Lagna, it will still make the individual very, very prosperous. And combined with this principle, if the Lagna lord, okay, if this Yogi planet is well placed and is participating in good yogas, then, the materialistic prospects of the natives are much enhanced. Okay. So let's see. Okay, so this is the chart of Tom Brokaw. Okay, so people in America would recognize him. He was a TV journalist associated with the News Broadcasting Corporation, NBC. Look at the, look at the Lagna Lord. It is Mars, and the Yogi planet is also Mars. Okay, Mars is well placed with its friend Jupiter and Ketu. Okay, although Mars is placed in a watery sign, it has the support of Jupiter, who is the lord of the 5th house, and Ketu. Okay, and Ketu, who is a, who is a fiery planet as just like Mars. So some would say this is a, this is a difficult combination to have, because Mars and Ketu is a combination which is known as Pishasha Yoga. Okay, but because we are, we are judging the chart from the perspective of wealth, so we are willing to let go of that part, right? So his Yogi point of 28 degrees 47 minutes at Capricorn falls in Dhanishta Nakshatra, which is ruled by Mars. And look at this Mars. It is, this Mars, it is also the, it is also Vargottama in the Navamsha. Okay, it is Vargottama in the Navamsha, right? So this Mars is involved in the, this Mars is involved in a Maharaji Yoga. Okay, because this is the Lagna Lord. Every time the Lagna Lord makes some association with the 5th Lord, it is known as a Maharaji Yoga. Of course, there are 190 yogas in Jyotish, so you don't have to remember each and everything. But just know that every time the Lagna Lord combines with the 5th Lord in a trine or a kendra, it gives rise to a very auspicious yoga, which is known as Maharaji Yoga. Okay, so because Mars is combining in with Jupiter, his wealth actually came in the Jupiter period. Okay, and it has also continued in his, in his Saturn Mahadasha, because look at Saturn, it is a duplicate yogi, but not only it is debilitated here. Look at Saturn, it is debilitated here. Okay, but it is also debilitated in the Navamsha. Okay, so this is this is a Nicha Bhanga Yoga. Okay, this is a Nicha Bhanga Yoga with Saturn, because Saturn is getting Vargottama in the Navamsha, right? So yeah.
So I have a question. This is very interesting. So my question is, in this chart, you said if Mars and Jupiter are connected in some way in a trine or a kendra, right? So
I said that if the Lagna Lord and the 5th Lord are connected in trine or in kendra.
Lagna Lord. Okay. say that again one more time.
Yeah, if the Lagna Lord and the fifth Lord are connected in a, in a trine or a kendra
Okay, so
with
what
the
if?
fifth Lord.
Okay, so in this case, with this chart,
You see, Lagna Lord Mars, it is connected
yeah,
with Lord Jupiter.
I think what I'm asking is, Mangal has to be there, or could
No,
it be
it
also?
need not be
it could-
Mangal. It need not be Mangal. It has to be the fifth Lord and the Lagna Lord connected.
Right, in this particular chart, in this particular chart, if Mangal was in Bhava 9 or Bhava or the Lagna, it would still be the same. Would still have
If
the
Mangal
same-
would go to the ninth house, then it will become debilitated. So the condition will not hold, right? Because ninth house is ruled by Cancer. So Mangal, if it goes to the ninth house, then of course it would become debilitated. So it will not be. See, Mangal is not. It is not a wealthy planet, but it is a wealth creator.
Right.
Okay? It is a wealth
So
creator.
you said if the Lagna Lord and the Lord of the
If
fifth
Mangal,
house.
if Mangal would have gone to the ninth house with Jupiter, then it would have given a lot of wealth because Jupiter would get exalted in the ninth house, right?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so it will be lifting Jupiter. It will be lifting Mangal out of debilation in that case.
Okay. Or if both of them were in the Lagna.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay, G. Thank you.
Now look at this. Look at this Saturn. This Saturn is very peculiar. The Saturn plays in a Dusthana in the D1. It is debilitated. Now it goes into an auspicious house in D9, but still it is debilitated. So this is a very peculiar form of Nich Bhang Raj Yoga. Okay, because if a planet is debilitated in the D1 and it gets debilitated in D9 but goes to some auspicious house, okay, it can bring a lot of wealth if the Lagna Lord of D1 is strong. So in this case, Mars is very, very strong. Okay. All right. Okay. Can anyone identify whose chart is this? Analyzing wealth yogas would be, would be incomplete if you don't analyze this chart. This is of Warren Buffett. Okay. So look at the first lord, Jupiter. It is conjunct with the fifth lord of investments, right? The investments come from the fifth lord, and both are aspecting the second lord, Saturn. So the first lord and the second lord being connected in some way, it is a huge Dhan yoga. Okay. And again, look at the Navamsha, Mars and Jupiter. They are in a Parivartan yoga in D9, right? And they are getting a good strength. Both the grahas are having a good source of strength. So all these Dhana yoga forming planets, they are in Kendras. Okay, they are in Kendra with this 11th lord Venus. Look at this 11th lord Venus. Okay, which is having a Nich Bhanga Raj yoga with an exalted 10th lord Mercury in the 10th house. Okay, Venus has gone to Pisces, of course, but because Mercury is exalted, Mercury is the exalted 10th lord in the 10th house. So this Venus is getting a Nich Bhang Raj yoga. Okay. And look at the 9th lord Surya, right? Look at the 9th lord Surya. It is Vargottama as well as placed in its own house. Okay. Surya is placed in Leo. Again, in the Navamsha, Surya goes to Leo, right? So what I'm trying to say is that, the Dhana yoga giving Lagna lord, which is Jupiter, it is yogi. It is yogi. It is forming a, the yogi planet wants him to go and invest, right? Because it is with a lot of investments. And then the duplicate yogi is Mercury. If you look at the Panchanga, the duplicate yogi is Mercury, and that has gone exalted. Okay, so this is again very, very good. Right? Okay. Now the last principle. Okay, so if there is a sambandha or a connection between the yogi and the duplicate yogi, they can create a very powerful combination for prosperity. Okay, so the condition will hold if they are strong, if they are well placed, and if they are forming Dhana yogas. All right, that is how it works. So the last chart, yeah. So Queen Elizabeth, right? Look at the yogi planet, Jupiter. It is debilitated. Look at Jupiter in the Lagna. Okay, even if it is debilitated, it is sitting in the Lagna. But then this Jupiter is getting a Nij Bhang Raj Yoga from Mars. Okay. And then Jupiter is in Kendras to the moon. So it is forming a beautiful Gajakesari Yoga as well. Okay. So Mars is the duplicate yogi, right? Mars is the duplicate yogi. And not only it is exalted, it is also giving a, giving a Raj Yoga, Nij Bhang Raj Yoga to the yogi planet Jupiter. And look at Mars, it is exchanging places with the 11th Lord, right? It is having a Parivartan Yoga with Saturn. And again, look at the Chandramangal Yoga, Mars and Jupiter, Mars and Moon, they are aspecting each other. So it's a Chandramangal Yoga, right? So, and then the Lagna Lord, look at the Lagna Lord, it is falling at the, the yogi point. Look at the yogi point in the Panchanga, it is 0 degrees 7 minutes. Okay. And look at the Lagna Lord, it is almost, it is 1 degree 37 minutes. So it is very, very close to the yogi point. Okay. So she became the Queen of England during her Venus-Mars period. So Mars is giving her a lot of things. Okay, and look at this Rahu in the exalted Rahu. So it meant that she was constantly facing threats to her empire, and she has managed to hold on to her throne. Even if you look at her personal life, she has managed to sideline people who were supposed to be a threat to her kingdom, to her hegemony. Okay, I'll not discuss her personal life, but that is how it is. All right, then that is the presentation. If you have any questions, I welcome them.
Devarshiji, thank you for this great class. Who was the second to the last chart?
Not getting you. You want me to go to the second chart?
No, the chart before Queen Elizabeth. Whose chart?
Warren
is
Buffett's
that?
chart.
Oh, Warren Buffett. Okay.
Yeah, it is Warren Buffett's chart. Yeah, this one.
Yeah, I have a question. It was something you said more towards the beginning. Can you go over the names and the correlation? I think you were in Hindi, the Panchang, the 5 elements and its qualities. So you said Dana is
The Panchanga has 5 elements. One is
Yeah.
Dina, which represents the fire element. It has
Yeah.
the rulership of Mars.
Yeah.
Then there is Tithi, or the Jala element, which has the rulership of Venus. Then comes Karana, or the Prithvi element, or the earth element, which has the rulership of Mercury. Then comes the Nakshatra element, or the personification of the air element, which has the rulership of Saturn. And finally comes the Yoga element, which is representative of space or Akash, and has the rulership of Jupiter.
Mhm. So another word for Jala is Titi? No, what did you say?
No. Another word for Jala is water.
No, you said another Hindi word. Piti?
Tithi, yes, Tithi.
And then the earth was
The earth was Karana.
so somebody shared this book, yeah, that you wanted, I think Suranji, right?
Yeah, it was Surenji. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I've downloaded it. If anyone wants it, I'll give it in the group.
So a calculation.
Yeah, I'll do one thing, Leah. I'll put it in the group because I'm at my Guruji's place. So I have to, I'll just wrap up this thing quickly because I have a certain ritual to do. I'll share the calculative part in the group for the benefit of everyone.
Sorry, you're gonna share.
I'll
what?
share it in the group for the benefit of everyone.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Do you have, you said we could do one at the end. Is that possible?
I'm not getting you.
You said we could do one at the end.
Yeah. I thought I would do it, but it has already, we have a ritual going up at 9. So I'll just see. Yeah, just to give me a minute. Let me see if I can find it here, the calculative part. Just a minute. Give me a minute. Okay, let's take an yeah, just give me a minute. I'll just take a practical chart and then explain the entire process. Okay. Let's take up this chart. Okay, I hope you have a pen and paper with you for the calculation part.
Super.
Yeah, so what you will do is that you will count the, you will count the longitude degrees of sun from Aries 0 degree. Okay, just taking an example. So this chart, I'll just take up my father's chart. Okay, I'm not sharing the chart. I'll just take up my father's chart. Just give me a minute. Okay, so this chart, the sun is at 23 degree Capricorn. Okay.
Okay.
Now from Aries to Sagittarius, you have 9 signs, isn't it? You don't, you don't have to count Capricorn because the sun is at Capricorn. So you will count from Aries to Sagittarius. So from Aries to Sagittarius, there is 9 sign, right? So one sign is 30 degrees. So 9 signs will give you 9 into 30. That is 273 degrees. Okay. Now the sun is at, 23 degrees Capricorn. So add 23 to 270, you will get 293. Okay.
Yep.
Now you count the longitude degree of moon from Aries 0 degree. Okay. So this chart, it has a moon at 14 degrees Taurus. Okay. So you will not count Taurus. You will just.
How much? Sorry, how much is it again?
The moon is at 14 degrees of Taurus. Okay.
Okay.
So you will not look at, you will not come to Taurus. You will just consider the sign of Aries. So Aries has 30 degrees. So 30 degree plus 14 degree of Taurus, it will give you 44 degrees.
Say that again. Sorry.
I said that, just a minute.
Moon is 14.
Yeah, moon is, yeah, just a minute. Yeah, so the moon is at 14 degrees of Taurus. Okay.
Right.
So you'll not count Taurus, you will just remain at Aries. Okay. Aries is 30 degrees. Okay, Aries is 30 degrees. Now, add 14 degrees to 30. So it will be 44 degrees, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay,
right.
Now add both the numbers. So previously for the sun, you had 293. For the moon, it had it is 44. So it is
337.
337. Okay.
Okay.
Now add 93 degrees, 20 minutes. So I don't know how this number comes. It is just that I was taught in this way. Okay. So you'll add 93 degrees, 20 minutes. Okay. From 300 to 337, you'll add 93.20.
So it's 430 degrees.
Yeah. 430.20 degrees. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the, this is the, now this is the yogi point. So now again, begin from Aries 0 degree. Okay, begin from Aries 0 degree and you'll see where 430 degrees and 20 minutes will fall. So from Aries to Pisces, you have 12 signs.
Right.
Okay. So 12 into 30 is 360. Now subtract this 360 from 430.20. You will be left with 70.20
70.
degrees.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you will again, that means after covering all the signs, you are left with 70.20 degrees. Okay.
Yeah.
Now you'll you'll start the second round of calculations. So Aries is 30, then Taurus, plus Taurus is 60. So you are left with how much? You are left with 10 degrees, 10 degrees, 20 minutes.
Sorry. So, but the second part of the calculation.
Yeah, you have completed the first part, isn't it? So
Yeah,
for the first part, you have obtained 70 degrees, 20 minutes, right? Now again, you have to go to the second round of calculations,
which is
Aries plus Taurus. Because if you add
only
another sign,
sorry, only for this chart in particular, or always Aries?
no,
plus
only for this chart,
because
the leftover is 70.20.
right.
So if you consider 3 signs, it will be 90. So it cannot exceed this number. It cannot exceed.
Acha. Okay. So if it was, let's say if it was 132, we could pick 4 signs.
Yes.
Okay. G.
Right.
Okay,
So you'll
now
be
we
considering
have
Aries plus Taurus. It is 60 degrees.
Yeah.
Aries plus Taurus is 60 degrees. Now subtract 60 from 70.20.
Yeah, it's 10 degrees 20.
Yeah, it's 10 degrees 20 minutes. So 10 degrees 20 minutes is the sign of Ardra in Gemini. Okay, it's Gemini.
Okay.
Yogi point is an Ardra nakshatra, in the Gemini sign. So because Ardra nakshatra is ruled by Rahu, so Rahu becomes the Yogi planet, and Gemini's Lord Mercury becomes the duplicate Yogi.
Okay, so Rahu is the Yogi planet, and Gemini is the duplicate.
Yeah, it becomes a duplicate.
So can you just okay, that was great. The math wasn't that hard. It was just knowing how to do it.
Yeah.
The duplicate planet, what is the significance of that?
The duplicate planet is just a aiding factor to the Yogi planet. Okay.
A what?
It is just like the helper of the Yogi planet.
So you said, like, so in your father's case, your respected father's case, so every time Chandra passes through Ardra, it's very auspicious for him.
Yes. Every time Chandra passes through Ardra, and every time Chandra passes through Gemini and Virgo.
And Virgo, because it
is ruled by Mercury.
Wait, so the duplicate planet is Mercury. Okay, so anytime Chandra also is in Gemini or Virgo, it's also auspicious for him?
Yes, it is auspicious.
So like for that entire period, when it's in that Rashi, Gemini or Virgo, not just that nakshatra, it's auspicious.
Yes.
Okay, is it of a lesser degree? Like, is the nakshatra the mother lode, and the Rashi, Gemini, and Virgo, it's
no, the thing is that I'm speaking this from a general perspective. Of course, the Yogi nakshatra will be more auspicious than the signs of the duplicate Yogi.
Okay, God. Yeah, but if it was Ardra in Gemini or Virgo, then that would be cha-ching, right? That would be very good.
Yeah. Comparatively, when Chandra passes through Ardra, that will be more auspicious as compared to when Chandra is transiting the entire sign of Gemini or the entire sign of Virgo.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. All right, then I don't think we have any more questions coming in. So in the next segment of this wealth of this ongoing discussions on wealth, we will be looking at the Hindu Lagna and how the Hindu Lagna is helpful in determining the wealth quotient of a person as well. Okay, so that will be sometime around the end of this week or next week, and recordings will be available on YouTube either by tomorrow morning or tomorrow evening. Okay. All right then. Thank you everyone for joining in. It was a pleasure hosting all of you. And yeah, for Leah, I'll be including the calculations to calculate the Hindu Lagna at the very beginning of the next webinar.
Right, because we want to learn how to do it, not just listen
Yeah,
to
yeah,
you.
yeah. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Pecan. Thank you, Priyanka ji. I'll be seeing you soon, next time.
Okay, thank you, Divesha ji.
Yeah. Om Gurave Namah.